Hello and welcome back to this free CCNA training from techpix.net. My name is Ahmed Al-Jawad. I'm the instructor for the CCNA training. Last video we talked about the switch and the hubs and their role in the network and what they're used for, and we kind of covered that a little bit, not in details. We are going to talk a lot more about the switches and how they operate and how to configure them. A lot more details in the coming videos. Now we are on the routers. I should finish this video from the last time, but I really got so tired, so I delayed it to another video, kind of considered part of the, the part of the old video of the recognize the purpose of and function of the virus network equipment. So now we are here to talk about the router. So we talked about the switch, and we talked here about how's the switch and the hubs and what the difference between them and how's their split the bandwidth and other things. Now let's go to the routers. What is the routers? Well, before that, I would love to remind you guys that we talked of that we are going to think the here we go, a little bit off. Okay, so I told you guys before that this training is going to be kind of self-dependence training, and the meaning of that, we don't have a resource here. I'm acting like I'm studying with you, so I'm going to go with you looking for Cisco requirements for be certified CCNA, what they want you to cover in the training path, and we are going to look online for all the resource, especially as I said on YouTube and other resources that's out there and free. That's why we're doing a free training here. So a router, of course, I got that from the Wikipedia. So a router, or maybe from cisco.com, you can find any definition for what is the router for. So a router is the device that forward data packets. Focus here, it's a data packet. If you remember, sorry, that's just, if you remember on the switch, we said that the switch is forwarding data frames, not a packets. That a difference. The frames, after it get encapsulated, as we are going to see next video, the frame of the data is coming to the layer 1, as we call it, and we are going to cover that layers in the next video too, and get encapsulated in layer 2 information to be a frame, where the switch is actually handling the frame, which is what we call the MAC addresses. They're going to talk about the MAC addresses more, and after that the frame get encapsulated in layer 3 information. Layer 3 information, it is the routers. So router is operating at layer 3, and as I said, we're going to talk more about layers next video. So a router is a device that forwards data packets between computer networks, creating an overlay internetwork. A router is connected to or more data lines from different networks. When a data packet comes in one of the lines, the routers read the address information in the packet. The address information in the packet, it's the IP address. We're going to talk about the IP address and how the routers actually find the information of the destination network to determine its unlimited destination. Then, using this information in the routing table or routing policy, we're going to talk about the routing table, routing policy. We're not going to cover that here. It should be like more like CCNP training, talk about routing policy. Very important, but we're here focusing more on the routing table. So using the information in its routing table or routing policy, it's direct the packets to the next network on the journey. Routers perform the traffic directions function on the internet. Data packets, we keep talking about the packets here, not the frame. You have to remember that's big difference on the layer 2 and layer 2. Frame is layer 2, packets is layer 3. Data packet is typically forwarded from one router to another through the networks that consist the internetwork until it reaches its destination. Well, please go and finish this, like, all definition you'll need, and you might going to be asked about it. And just because he's covering a very important thing, that's how is the router forwarding the packets depends on what we said. It depends on the routing table, but who's building the routing table for the routers and make it the router do this decisions? It's what we call them router protocols. We're going to protocols. We are going to cover routing protocols in a little bit more advanced videos, and we're going to see how different routing protocols building their own routing table and how the traffic depends on it. Just to give you an idea and how that's fallen together. We're going to talk about the big picture, how that's fallen together, but just give you like quick idea on how that's actually fallen together. Let me go to my video so I can show you a little bit how that's fallen together. You know, everybody at home has his own uh, uh, you know, internet from any internet service provider. Let's say Comcast, AT&T. So how is that? You do have router in there, yes, of course. You know, without router, without, and you do have a switch, and I will tell you which one is the switch, which one is the router. Without that, you're not gonna have a network. So here you are the guy who's, you know, called the AT&T, and he goes like, you know what, this is my computer, I need internet connectivity to my home. The AT&T will go like, you know, okay, we are coming to install the equipment for you. So what they're going to do, they're going to come around the cable to the router. You know what one of the router is? That's usually it comes as a Motorola device. That's the coaxial cables comes into. And if you don't know what the coaxial cable is, let me show you. I'm a little bit off here. I was looking on this. So usually, as I said, we are need to go. I'm sorry, my goggle is in Arabic. I have to remove that. You know, my brother Ricky, the owner of TechBix, he told me how, but I just don't have the time to change it. But anyway, so he will come to install the coaxial cable. There we go. All the way to your home. You already have this part of them. You know, it's just like the one for the TV. It's actually the same. They usually bring that cable and put it on that Motorola device usually, and run two cable, one to the TV satellite device or like receiver, and one for your modem, what we call them. That's actually the modem is the router. So usually they're bringing the coaxial and put it on the router, which is here the Motorola modem. You know, that's black little box. That's the coaxial cable comes into here and goes into the switch. Which one is the switch? Do you know which one is the switch? It is the Wi-Fi access point that you have that is supplying actually the Wi-Fi signal between your you and, you know, between the computer and the router. So this goes off. Just trying to send it to the back here. There we go. So the router, where is coming the coaxial cable from outside, is goes to the router, which is the modem, that what we call it usually in our home use. With the modem is the one who's usually connected to the switch. The switch is actually the Wi-Fi access point that you have when you connected your wireless. Just like here we have a wireless is connected to my access point. So that's normally you have, you know, full network in your home, but it's just like a home network is not a professional network here. We're going to talk more about that. So that's just a little bit an idea of what you have in home as a switch and router. Now let's take a look at Cisco routers. What kind of routers you might expect in. Well, here I give you an example of the 2900 series, that I think 2911 Cisco router, and here is the Cisco ASR 9000. The Cisco ASR 9000 is built more for the service provider, very advanced router that we actually are not going to deal with here in CCNA. There is a specific path for it in the Cisco learning path. It's called certified service provider. That's where you're going to learn a lot. Even there's different operating system, different iOS on it. It's called iOS XR. Is different than the iOS that we are going actually to deal with in in the CCNA. Let's go to Cisco.com and see more routers, what series, what they have out there. You know, and you are in the company, and they ask you, you know what, we need a new router. How are you going to pick your router that you're going to deal with? So on Cisco.com, all products, you come to all products, you have section says routers, and depends on what function sort of routers you trying to get, you could pick. You know, service provider, I said, is 9000 series. Network is there's different series, and the branch offices usually with that what we're going to deal with. The CCNA is the branch offices. See here they have 4451 X integrated service router. You know, different kind of router. Everyone has its own capabilities and on a performance abilities. Here the 2900, which is kind of the standard for the branches. I use that a lot. Smaller than the 2900 is like the 1900 series service router, where you kind of use it in smaller branches. Again, I have to disable this anyway. And the 800 is kind of built, I won't say it's like for home use, it's for like very small office, because it's actually taken from XDLS cable, which is the coaxial cable. If we go down there and we see the preview of the router, here we go. We should see, well, why you not? Anyway, okay. I want to see the back view. I don't know if there's a back view in here. Should be, but look like there isn't. Anyway, we'll talk about more the series more in the future. So that's what is the routers look like and what's router functions. In advance, network cables, how we are actually going to connect the switch to the router. Of course, we have different kind of cables, different kind of connectors. The standard connectors we are usually use, it's the RJ45, which is we call them the Ethernet cable, which the standard. There's two kind of that cable. You will see that cable a lot in your network environment and in your data center. It's called RJ45. That's where it's connecting the switches usually to the end computers, and it's connecting the switches to the routers. And there's of course special kind of cabling you have to be. We'll talk more about it in the future, but here's how it look like the Ethernet cable types. That's the connector, and actually it goes in your computer. If any of your computer, that's a desktop Ethernet interface, and it goes like this, and it goes in one of these ports. It's actually giving you internet connectivity. And if you have a laptop, you will see the same injector like in the side of your laptop. This should go like in there. That's like a built-in interface, Ethernet interface to your laptop. Another kind of connection is the fiber, and the fiber is faster than it's not a faster there's because there's 10 gig Ethernet, no problem, but it's more distance than the Ethernet. Ethernet goes 100 meters if it's unshielded. If it's shielded, it says it goes 150 if there's no any thing in the way. The fiber is, there's different kind of fibers. There's single mode, there's multi-mode, there's distance limitation too, but there's like long distance. Please go and look for the distance. I just don't want to say everything, because if you go on Google and Google the distance for single mode, multi-mode, it will give you the distance for Ethernet. It will give you the serial is kind of the old connectors that's connecting the WAN to the router. The WAN is the wide area network, and usually you see the serials interface connectors coming on the old satellite systems. When you have end, this goes to the satellite, like this end kind of parallel, maybe usually even the same ends look like, and this one goes to the Cisco routers right here on this port, and we'll stop it anyway, and it will go like right the way, and that's what's called serial. Now the new serial interface is exactly look like the Ethernet cable, but it's serial interface. So the signal that this cable is carrying, you will even doing the same kind of cabling, but you actually have to that's actually a serial signal is carried, and that's what's the new connectors. We are going to talk today a little bit more about cabling the Ethernet, the RJ45. We kind of not going to talk about cabling the fiber. The fiber cable is kind of a little bit complicated, and there is a specific like a specialist company that's actually specialized on running fibers cables through any company. You could call them, and they'll install it for you more professional way than you are doing it, because there's special equipment for testing, all of that things you're not gonna have around normally. So now let's talk about how all of that is falling together in the big picture. How's the router? We a little bit talked about it. How's your home is installed, but now let's talk about it from your enterprise. How's that installed? How's the Cisco switch and Cisco routers with the one interface phones together? And here's the big picture of what's going on. So if you remember our friends Tom and Tim, for example, what their name, here's their interface that we just talked about, the Ethernet interface, and we are connecting through the RJ45 right here, and that's RJ45. It goes to another end, the same, like the other end will look like exactly the same connector. It goes in the Cisco switch and that will give him connectivity to the Cisco switch. Of course, there's a lot of other resources on the network, like a printer on the network where everybody's sharing. This has the same connectors right here. And here I just put an example of a server. For example, you have very important file server where you're sharing file between all of the employee, and the connectors for that file server can be fiber. Yes, if you get the fiber interface on the server and you have the fiber interface, what we call them the SFPs connectors on the Cisco switch, you can actually connect them through the fiber. You connect RJ45 between the router and the switch straight through RJ45. We're going to talk about this straight to the router, and the router is where is connecting to the ISP. And again, the ISP, it is the internet service provider. Usually, if you are in a business environment, there is like maybe an MPLS circuits or a normal DSL, where it's just like what you have in home, but with public IP address you could use for the netting purpose to your environment. So that's where it's not your responsibility. It's the ISP will come and install all the equipment and give you the connector to connect it to your routers. You're in charge of configuring the router right here to the switch and giving all the resources to the internal user to get to the internet, and maybe like connecting more than one branch together. We'll talk about it more and more. And here's how everything is falling together: the fiber, the RJ45 with different connectors. That is like falling in one network environment where you have everything connected. You see the fiber and RJ45. The switch actually doesn't care what is connected. We'll see just as a normal interface. Of course, there's a different kind of connectors, but from the iOS model, it's just you dealing just like you dealing with a normal interface. You give an IP address, maybe if it's a routable interface on layer 3 switch, we'll talk about more, and or maybe it's just layer 2 interface, just act like a normal interface. There's no difference here. All right, I'm done with the presentation. Now let's talk what we want to talk about. First thing first is I will talk about two things here before we ending this series. What first is it's very important. I'll talk second. First is how we cabling the RJ45. I'm going to take you to YouTube, take you to maybe more resource on Google, see maybe websites. We'll see what colors you maybe use. Of course, there's like 8 wires inside here. You have to put them in a specific standard way so you could have connectivity. But the other important thing we are going to talk about is regarding, do we need aerial network equipment to finish our CCNA training? We're going to talk about that. Now, the cabling. How we actually can do the cabling for the RJ45. And as I said, we're doing here everything on YouTube. Let's go to YouTube, and okay, YouTube, and we are actually going to write RJ45. You know, it could be crimping, or you're actually, that's what it's doing. You know, it's a trimming there, because like this what it's called, the crimper. That's what it's look like. And here, like, very good videos of how you are doing the RJ45.
Hi,
I don't know what this guy name,
but live from cableorganizer.com.
Right.
Today I'm going to show you how to create an RJ45 6 cable.
See, it's actually straight through. I don't have to talk about it. It'll tell you how exactly to
on each end of the cables. You will see later why. Then you're going to take one end of the cable.
See, that's what's called the crimper. You should have it wherever you go, and that's kind of the little small cutter.
Don't do it too much, otherwise you're going to damage the wires inside.
So anyway, we're not going, just you guys have just to go through it. It will show you what colors is white, orange, and green, white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown.
And twist and turn, and as you can see, the pair twisted. Order on how the cables are supposed
so you see, even he show you on the, I think that's wiki, how's that's falling together. So that's the cabling. I mean, there's a lot of other, you know, actually I kind of like this guy, the LA, the network guy, the computer guy. Really great YouTube channel. You should participate. He's kind of not in the network field. He's more he knows a lot about network, but he's more in IT in general, and actually see how he's talking about switches, introduction to network, and all over physical network segments. He's talking about, and he has a lot of good videos about networks, and he's actually going to
As one of my first instructors
the
once said,
tables here.
it doesn't matter how many certifications you have, it doesn't matter how advanced a senior you
We'll see here.
The first thing that we
Here
have
we
to
go.
do is we have to get to the little so we get
So we'll show you again how to do the RJ45 cabling. So you guys go in there, take an idea of how that goes. Very good experience. Now let's go back to Cisco. Enough cabling as is. There's you can, if you're interested in the fiber cabling, you know what? Why not? Let's go to YouTube again and see fiber. See if I find anything. I never looked. Fiber cables and installations, maybe. Not installations. What kind of? I think here how to reset instrument. There's a lot of details here. Here. So there's a lot of how to terminate fiber cables here. So there's a lot of resource out there.
Hello, I'm Mercy with Discount Mobile AFL Fiber Optic Fast.
We'll show you how to do that. So anyway, just an idea. Now, do we need a Cisco equipment to study CCNA? Simple, very simple. No, you don't need it. I don't need it. Yeah, you don't need it. You know what you need? You need a software that actually can act as Cisco equipment. Do we have that software? Oh yeah, there's a lot of that software free of charge. There's one from Cisco. It's called Packet Tracer. Let's go find the Packet Tracer. Packet Tracer is a free download. You actually try to find it from packettracernetwork.com. I'm not sure if that's the official website. I think it is on Cisco, but anyway, let's go to that. That's looked like, but I'm not sure if that's the official network website. The packet, yeah, it is. It's looked like it is. So the Packet Tracer is software you download, and it's actually giving you kind of a simulated environment of how to simulate network equipments in your environments. Very, very supportive, very good, but there's a lot of limitation, and is actually not going to give you the feel of it is like a Cisco iOS. So that's, I recommend to start with it because it's just straight through, just you drag and drop the equipment. I'm not sure if I ever installed it here. No. Anyway, my recommendation for you is the greatest GNS3. It's .net. I'm sure it's not .com. What the hell? What .net? Okay. Sorry guys. Here we go. Graphic Network Simulator GNS3. GNS3 is actually an emulator that is actually you have to bring your own Cisco iOS image and run it in this environment. I'm not going to talk about how you are going to use this because Ricky going to make videos on how to use GNS3. Will be great documentation for you if you go and before I actually start configuring any Cisco router. I will recommend to go through the GNS training that's Ricky going to put together. And here they have videos, a lot of videos of how you actually going to use the GNS, which through the GNS talk. Actually get started with GNS, building safe your topology, idle PC, or that's the other, here's how to start. And it's actually not just for Cisco, it's for a lot of other, it's a complete network environment in your laptop, in your PC. In your PC, so it's very important that you have GNS if you want to be in the network field, because you will need it. Not if you're even if you're not a network engineer, if you're a system engineer, you will need GNS to. If you're a system engineer, you will need GNS to run like Windows Server on a virtual machines. You can install GNS with the virtualization software, which is called the Oracle VMbox. We are going to do that when we get to the install a configuration of the routers and the switches. We're going to use it a lot of time. We're going to use the GNS. I'm going to show you guys how we put GNS together. Not exactly how to configure them, just how is the topology, because as I said, Ricky is going to give you a lot of good information on how to start and build your topology and use the GNS. For now, that's kind of how you can start with it. Go to the GNS talk, participate. They'll give you a lot of other very good YouTube explanation how to use GNS. GNS is one of the greatest, the best network simulator out there. You don't need network equipment, but you have to have very good information or very good acknowledgement of what's different Cisco series of routers which is out there, what's different technologies out there, and then you can implement that all on GNS. So thank you again for watching the video with me. The next video will be talking about the Cisco iOS models and the protocols in the iOS models. Thank you for watching. Please visit techpix.net and participate in our video on our YouTube channel, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Again, this is Ahmed Al Jawad. Thank you for watching. See you later.